let's talk about the study guide and what you guys need to know. So this is the study guide that I provided. You need to know what is variable, what does variable means, and what is constant. In the PowerPoint that we went over, we are covering this concept. So variable is concept that varies from which we select concrete indicators, and constant is a concept that does not vary. Some of you may think, what does that mean? So imagine that you are working in a clinic and you are wondering, is gender have an impact on depression levels of the clients? Okay, so is the gender of the client have an impact on their depression levels? Let's put it in that form. So in this question, client is a constant, because to be in this study you need to be a client, right? Otherwise you cannot be in the study. So this is constant. This characteristics is valid for everybody. So everybody in this study are clients. It's not varying from one person to another. However, gender is a variable, right? Some of our clients are males, some of them are females, so it's a variable. The other concept that you guys need to know, the other two important things, are validity and reliability, right? So we talked about that. We talked about what does validity means, what does reliability means, what is valid but not reliable, what's reliable but not valid, what's both valid and reliable. Do you guys remember that I show you an example of the DART, as you see here: accurate, which is valid; precise, consistent, which is reliable. You see the dots are accumulated in here on the down corner, down left corner, and here it's both accurate and precise. As you see, all the dots are on the yellow spot. So in here it's more spread out. It's close to yellow but not exactly on yellow. So it's valid, it's accurate, but it's not consistent. But in the second picture we see more consistency, we see more reliability. And in the third picture we see both consistency and reliability. So accuracy and consistency, which means reliability and validity at the same time, right? So a measurement can be valid but not reliable, can be reliable but not valid, but can be both, right? It can be reliable and valid. So let's talk a little bit about different types of different levels of measurement, and we will turn back to reliability, validity later. So we talked about this in the class. What are different levels of measurements? We talked about nominal, which is a kind of things, right? Like a kind of fruits, apples, oranges. If I'm asking, what's your favorite fruit? And I gave you a bunch of options. There is no more or less, right? You are choosing an identifier, you are choosing a kind. Or it can be an identifier like name, like gender, like race, okay? Jersey number, those are nominal, okay? Because they are to identify a person, identify a characteristics of a person. There is no more or less between them. There is no rank order between them, so they are nominal. The ordinal, however, have rank order, right? We went over a bunch of examples in the class about ordinal. So let me open here. Okay, in this example, you will see that social class, poor, middle class, and rich. So we can rank order them, right? Like which one has a higher economical power, right? We can rank order them: poor, middle class, and rich. Health status: poor, good, excellent. Sometimes we see this customer surveys asking us how how satisfied you are with our services, and it starts from very dissatisfied and ranges from very satisfied. So these are rank ordered, and they are ordinal measures. The most famous ordinal measure is a Likert scale. It starts from very unlikely and goes to very likely, and it has 5 categories, and it's called 5-point Likert scale. But what you need to know is in the ordinal measures, we have rank ordered, okay? Like a military grades are rank ordered, right? So they are ordinal. Something from good to bad, if we are ranking it from very bad to very good, that's rank ordered. Something from childhood to elderly, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, elderly, that's rank ordered in terms of age, right? So we can say which one is more and which one has less age. That's rank ordered. So when something is rank ordered, that's ordinal in terms of measurement. And then we have interval and ratio. As you guys know, and as we discussed, in the interval, we didn't have true zero. However, in the ratio measurements, we have true zero. What I want you to do is, as I mentioned in here, there is a concept there is a section in your book talks about mathematical precision of different levels of measurement. So it talks about which of these levels, nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio, has more mathematical precision. Okay, and there is also an exhibit, a figure there. I want you to go and examine that figure or that table and see which one has more mathematical precision compared to the others. Okay. The other concept that I would like to cover is triangulation. Triangulation is something that we are doing in research. That means we are looking a variable by using different methodologies. What do I mean by that? Imagine that I am measuring stress, right? There is a bunch of different ways of measuring stress. I can go and ask person directly, that's perceived stress, or they will rate themselves. I can observe them, right? I can observe how stressed they are, and based on the signs that they are showing, I can rate them. I can ask their teacher, I can ask their parents, somebody can evaluate them, right? So there are a bunch of different ways of measuring one variable. If I am using more than one methodology to measure something and compare those methodologies, that's triangulation. Imagine that when I'm measuring your academic success, if I go and ask your teacher how successful you are, and then I go and I ask you about your SAT scores or some other scores that you provide me, I have 2 measures of academic success, right? Then I can triangulate. Or I can ask you about how stressful you are, and you can give me a range based on how you perceive how stressed you are, or use an objective measure to determine how stressed you are as a one methodology. And as another methodology, I can be in the classroom as an observer and observe you throughout the class to see how stressed you are during the class, and take notes or rate you based on my observation. That's another methodology. So when I am using 2 methodologies together to measure the same variable, right? That's triangulation. And there is a section in your book about that. Please go and read it. Dichotomy. What does dichotomy means? Dichotomy means that a variable has 2 values. Sometimes we are using dichotomy in the variables, like some of you used program, right? In your research questions. Is program A effective reducing anxiety, for example? So being in the program A or not being in the program A were the only options that participants had, right? So it has 2 values: being in the program, not being in the program. So if I am measuring the depression with 2 values, that will be depressed, not depressed. So when I'm measuring something with two values, okay, that's dichotomy. That variable is dichotomous variable, okay? So it has two categories or two values, being in it or not being in it, kind of. So what is reliability? One thing you guys need to remember about reliability is consistency. So when I see reliability, I must think about the consistency, okay? If a measurement provides consistent results, that measurement is reliable. And when we are talking about the validity, the word that I want you to think is accuracy. You need to think about accuracy, how accurate is, how accurately measuring what it's supposed to measure, right? If I am measuring mathematics, how accurately I am measuring the mathematical ability of a person, right? So that's accuracy. That's validity. Accuracy is validity, and consistency is reliability. So those are the keywords for reliability and validity. Please don't forget them. We have different types of reliability and different types of validity, right? Like test retest is one of the reliability types. One of the ways that I can measure if my measurement will provide consistent results or not. So what does test retest reliability means? It means when I am giving you the test in two occasions, if I'm getting the consistent results. So between test 1 and test 2, if I have the consistent results, that means I have test retest reliability. There is internal consistency. That means the items in my measurement. Let's say I am measuring stress and I have 10 items, which means 10 questions that I'm asking you to measure your stress. So each of these questions should should have the quality to measure your stress levels appropriately, right? So imagine that if I am dividing this into two halves. So as I mentioned, I had a measurement that has 10 questions or 10 items. Imagine that I am dividing this into two halves, 5 and 5, right? Now I have two measurements. Those two measurements need to be consistent with each other, okay? So the first 5 question and second 5 question, or randomly I picked 5 here, 5 here, they should be consistent with each other. That's internal consistency. There is also alternate forms reliability that provides some alternative forms to measure the consistency. So in your textbook, it gives the example of SAT or ACT. So when you were in high school, you remember when you were taking those exams, some of you took different forms of the exam.